19 people in 14 days. 127,438.72 was spent on nursing assistants, each working less than 48 hours. Linda Hartford's insurance covered most of it. The rest came from Hartford Global's executive healthcare program. That meant the board of directors had reviewed every bill, every failed attempt, every piece of evidence that their CEO couldn't keep an assistant around long enough to finish a meal. The 19th nurse arrived at 7 o'clock in the morning with a certificate from Mount Sinai and a resume Linda didn't read, her hands reeking of hospital soap, and she lasted until 7:43 when the crystal vase shattered 6 inches from her head. And she ran crying down the hallway, past the koi pond, the abstract painting no one understood, and the little girl in light-up shoes waiting for her dad to fix something broken, not the vent. Patricia stood in the hallway with a paperclip. Her phone vibrated in her pocket. This was the 3rd time Kenneth had called that morning. Linda's left hand trembled as she placed it on the armrest of her wheelchair. The crystal water pitcher exploded against the wall, 6 inches from the nurse's head. Glass everywhere, glittering, raining down on marble like 1,000 tiny diamonds that would never be worth anything to anyone. Linda Hartford's voice cut through the penthouse, sharp. Final, get out, the nurse fled, sobbing. Number 19 in 14 days. Linda lost count after 12, stopped caring after 15. This one lasted 6 hours. A new record. Almost impressive. Linda sat in the wheelchair by the window, 62 floors above Park Avenue. The city spread out below like a chessboard. She used to control, used to own, used to matter on. Now she couldn't feel her legs. 6 months, 183 days since the drunk driver hit her Mercedes at 60 miles per hour on the West Side Highway. 23-year-old kid walked away with a broken wrist. She didn't walk at all. T6, incomplete spinal injury. The doctors used that word, incomplete, like it was supposed to be hopeful, like she was supposed to be grateful. That half her spine still worked, incomplete. She wanted to throw something at them too. The broken glass caught the afternoon light. Linda stared at it, didn't blink. Her knuckles white on the wheelchair armrests. Everything below her hips was just gone, not dead. Worse, present but absent. A cruel joke her nervous system played. Twice a day, when she woke up and forgot, agon for 3 seconds, that she was broken. The door opened, careful. Quet, Patricia Brooks, 56. Assistant for 19 years, the only person Linda hadn't fired yet. Patricia didn't look at the glass, didn't flinch. Just stood there with her clipboard, pressed against her chest like body armor. Which fair? The board met this morning. Linda didn't turn her head. And? Patricia's voice dropped. 30 days. If you can't demonstrate active involvement in operations, they vote. Linda's jaw tightened. Of course they did. Vultures. She built Hartford Global from a single property in Tribeca into a Fortune 500 empire. 68 commercial buildings across the eastern seaboard, $4 billion in assets. And now, because she couldn't walk into a conference room, because she needed a ramp instead of stairs, because she threw water pitchers at nurses who looked at her with pity. They wanted her out. Kenneth? Patricia hesitated. Your brother was. Vocal, Linda laughed. Bitter, dry Kenneth, her baby brother, 48 years old, still playing the victim. She'd fired him from COO 3 years ago for embezzlement, gave him a second chance as CFO, only because their father's will required it. And now he smelled blood. And now he smelled blood. 30 days, 27 now, today's Tuesday. Linda closed her eyes, let her head fall back against the wheelchair. She hadn't eaten in 4 days' sleep. 3. The room spun even with her eyes shut. Her left hand trembled on the armrest. Not from emotion, from malnutrition. Her body staging a quiet rebellion against her brain's decision to shut down. Patricia cleared her throat. There's one more thing. Linda waited. The vent in the master bedroom. Maintenance called. They need to send someone up. No, Linda, it's been 3 weeks. The air quality. I said no. You haven't let anyone in that room. In 11 days. Linda's voice went cold, flat, because I don't want anyone in that room. I don't want maintenance. I don't want nurses. I don't want therapists or doctors or assistants or you. I want everyone. Out. Patricia's clipboard lowered. Just an inch. Her eyes red. Not crying, trying not to. I know you're in pain. You don't know anything. I've worked for you for 19 years. And in 19 years, Linda's voice rose, cracked. You have never, not once, seen me like this, so don't stand there and pretend you know what this is. Patricia flinched finally. Good, the vent still needs fixing. Then let the building collapse. Patricia turned, walked to the door, stopped. The building manager is sending someone. At 10 tomorrow. He won't take no for an answer. Liability. Insurance. Legal said if you refuse, they'll get a court order. Linda stared at the broken glass. Fine, let them come. She'd throw something bigger this time. Patricia left. The door clicked shut. Linda sat alone. 62 floors above the world. Empress of nothing. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen. Kenneth. She picked it up, not to answer, to throw. But her left hand spasmed. The phone clattered to the floor, skittered under the side table. Kept buzzing. Kenneth's face lighting up the shadows. Linda didn't reach for it. Couldn't, the angle was wrong, the distance too far. Her chair didn't fit between the table and the wall. So she sat, listened to her brother's call go to voicemail. Listened to the city hum. Listened to her own breathing. Shallow, tired. The breathing of someone who'd stopped fighting 3 weeks ago and was just waiting. Morning arrived. Linda didn't sleep, just stared at the ceiling. From 4 a.m. until the light changed. From black to gray to that awful bright white. That promised another day. Patricia knocked at 9:45. He's here. Linda didn't answer. Didn't move. The wheelchair sat in the same spot by the window. She hadn't transferred to bed. Couldn't summon the energy. Hadn't eaten day 5 now. Her mouth tasted like copper. Patricia opened the door anyway, stood in the threshold. Linda, he has a child with him. Linda's eyes snapped to Patricia. What? The maintenance tech. His daughter. Sitter cancelled. Building manager approved it. How old? How 5? Linda's chest tightened. A 5-year-old. In her apartment. Staring, pitying, asking questions in that loud, tactless, honest way children do, show them away. I can't. Legal. Then I'll deal with legal. Patricia's voice hardened. You'll lose. The court order is already drafted. Judge signed it this morning. Either you let him fix the vent, or they come with police and contractors, and do it anyway. Linda wanted to scream, thrum something, burn the whole building down, but her body was too tired, her arms too weak. She just sat fine. 10 minutes. He fixes it. He leaves. The child stays in the foyer. I don't want her in here. Patricia nodded. Left. Linda heard voices in the hall. A man deep, calm, a child. High, bright, asking something about fish. The door opened. He was maybe 40, maybe younger. Hard to tell, dark hair, worn jeans. Work boots, Sewell belt slung low on his hips. He carried a metal toolbox in one hand. Didn't look at Linda, looked at the room. The broken glass someone finally cleaned up. The blackout curtains drawn tight. The air stale and thick. Behind him, a little girl, blonde pink sneakers, juice box in one hand. Staring at Linda with those wide, unblinking, terrifying eyes that children have. Patricia spoke from the doorway. Mr. Morrison. This is Miss Hartford's bedroom. The vent is above the bed, mess. Hartford will remain here during the repair. Please work quickly. The man nodded. Set down his toolbox. Ma ma'am. Linda stared at him, didn't respond. He walked to the bed. Started setting up a ladder. The little girl hovered near the door, watching. Linda could feel her stare, heavy, unbearable. Your daughter. The man looked over his shoulder. Yes, ma'am. She stays in the foyer. The man glanced at Patricia. Patricia nodded. He crouched down, eye level with the girl. Sophie, sweetheart. Remember the rules? The girl nodded, solemn, like she was swearing an oath. Stay close. Don't touch anything shiny. Don't talk unless they talk first. Good girl. And? The girl bit her lip, thought hard. If a lady is sad, I can give her my granola bar. The man blinked. That's a new rule. I made it up in the elevator. He smiled. Tired, soft, the kind of smile that lived in the back of a throat. Okay, baby. Let's keep that one for later. The lady here doesn't really like visitors. The girl frowned. Then why does she live where people visit? The man didn't have an answer. Linda saw it on his face. That flicker of something. Amusement, pain. He stood, turned back to the ladder. It'll be 15 minutes. You'll barely know I'm here. Linda's voice cut through the room. Why aren't you afraid of me? The man paused. Didn't turn, ma'am? Everyone who walks into this apartment is afraid of me. Nurses, doctors, assistants. My own board of directors. But you, You walked in here like you're fixing a sink. So, why? The man turned, looked at her, really looked, not at the wheelchair, not at her unwashed hair, or the dark circles, or the fact that she'd been wearing the same silk robe. For 3 days, he looked at her face, her eyes. I lost my wife 3 years ago. After that, there's not a whole lot left in this world. That scares me. Linda's breath caught. Just for a second, the man turned back to the ladder, climbed, pulled out a screwdriver. Linda sat silent, her heart doing something strange in her chest. Something she hadn't felt in 6 months. Curiosity. She watched him work. Efficient. Quiet. No small talk. No pity. Just work. 8 minutes in, he spoke again. Damper was loose. Flues shot. I'll replace both. Another 6 minutes. Linda didn't respond. Didn't need to. 9 minutes in, she heard it. A small sharp inhale. Not from him, from herself. Because somewhere between the vent cover and the filter, between the silence and the work, she'd been holding her breath. And her body. Traitorous, desperate, finally rebelled. The man didn't look at her. Kept working, but she saw his shoulders change, just slightly. He'd heard 10 minutes. He climbed down, folded the ladder, picked up his toolbox. You're all set. Vents clear. Air should improve in an hour. Linda stared at him. What's your name? Morrison. James Morrison. James Morrison. Yes, ma'am. Get out. James Morrison. He nodded once. Turned. Wait. He stopped. Didn't turn. Linda's voice came out quieter than she meant. Why? Why did you tell me that? About your wife. Silence. Then soft. Because you asked a real question. First one I've heard from anyone in this building. In 3 months, he walked to the door, reached for the handle, and stopped because his daughter wasn't there. Linda saw his face change. Panic instant. Total Sophie. His voice came out tight, controlled. Sophie, baby, where are you? Patricia appeared in the doorway, frowning. She was right there 2 minutes ago. James dropped the toolbox. Ran. Linda heard his footsteps. Fast, hard down the hall. And then faint. From somewhere deeper in the apartment. A small voice. You should eat. It helps when you're sad. Linda's blood turned cold. James hit the bedroom door at full speed. Threw it open. Sophie stood in the middle of the room. Small, determined. In her hands. A silver breakfast tray. The one Patricia left on the hallway sideboard. This morning. Untouched. A plate of toast. A bowl of fruit. A cup of tea. Long gone cold. She held it out. Both hands, arms shaking under the weight. Toward Linda. Linda stared. Frozen. James's voice came out strangled. Sophie, honey, come here. Now. Daddy, she's hungry. Sophie, this isn't our house. We don't. She's hungry, Daddy. Look at her. She's hungry and she's sad. And nobody's helping her. Linda couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. A 5-year-old child, holding a tray of cold toast, staring at her with those eyes. Those terrible, honest, unflinching eyes. Sophie took a step closer. How old are you? Linda's voice came out broken. 42. You're older than Daddy. Yes. Do you have kids? No. Why not? Sophie. James's voice cracked. But Sophie didn't stop. My mummy died when I was little. And Daddy said when people are sad, you bring them food. Grandma brought me soup. And Daddy said it helps. Linda felt something in her chest crack. Clean, brutal. Sophie set the tray down on the bed, carefully, like it was made of glass. Then she walked over to the wheelchair, and without asking, without hesitating, she put her small arms around Linda Hartford's shoulders. It's okay to be sad. My daddy says it's okay. Linda's face crumpled. The sound that came out of her wasn't a sob, wasn't a scream. It was voracious. 6 months, 183 days, of holding her breath, of clenching her jaw, of refusing. And a 5-year-old girl in pink sneakers just broke her. Linda cried, not the jagged, angry, bitter crying of this morning, nor of yesterday, of every day since the accident. This was different, bond deep, quiet, human. Sophie held on, didn't let go. Linda's hands came up, slow shaking, and rested on Sophie's back. She hadn't touched another person in 11 weeks. James stood in the doorway, silent, his vision blurred. He didn't reach for his daughter, didn't apologize, didn't try to fix it. He just stayed. Patricia appeared behind him, saw, opened her mouth, closed it, put a hand over her own mouth, turned away. Linda cried until her shoulders stopped shaking, until Sophie pulled back, looked her very seriously in the face. You should drink water too. Water is important. Linda let out a sound, half laugh, half sob, reached for the cup. With her shaking hand, Sophie helped, held the bottom, guided it to Linda's lips. Linda drank, cold bitter, the best thing she'd tasted in a week. Patricia's voice, barely a whisper, "Mr. Morrison, I don't know what just happened." James's voice came out rough. "I don't either, ma'am. She hasn't eaten in 4 days, I know. She hasn't let anyone touch her. In 11 weeks, I know." James stepped into the room, but slow. "I'm going to take my daughter home now. I'm going to take her for pancakes. I'm sorry she came in here. It won't happen again." "Mr. Morrison, wait." Linda's voice, small, broken. James stopped. Linda looked up, her eyes red, exhausted. Wet locked it onto his. "James Morrison." "Yes, ma'am. Your daughter. I know. I'm so sorry. Bring her back." James blinked. "Ma'am, Linda Hartford, Billionaire, CEO." The woman who'd thrown a crystal pitcher at a nurse 4 hours ago looked at him with tears still drying on her face. "Please, bring her back tomorrow." James looked at Sophie. Sophie looked at him. She had a piece of toast in her hand now, eating it. "Daddy, I told you she was hungry." James Morrison didn't answer Linda. Couldn't. His throat closed up entirely. He just nodded once, slow, picked up his daughter, settled her on his hip, the way he had 1,000 times before, and walked out. With the strangest feeling he'd ever had in his life. That something had just started. In the elevator, Sophie laid her head on his shoulder. "Daddy, the lady was nice. Was she, baby?" "She was just hiding." James didn't answer, couldn't. He stared at the numbers ticking down. 62, 61, 60. Held his daughter. Thought about a woman in a wheelchair, who cried into a child's arms. Thought about his wife. 3 years gone, the way she used to say, "James, you've got to stop trying to do this alone." And he thought about how he hadn't stopped. Not really. Not for one single day. Since they buried Anna. The elevator hit the lobby. The doors opened. Sophie already asleep on his shoulder. James stepped out into the morning, into the bright Manhattan sunlight. Had no idea he'd be back in that penthouse in less than 24 hours. Had no idea the woman upstairs just made a phone call, hands shaking, voice wet, to Patricia. 3 words she hadn't said to anyone since the accident. "Don't lose him." James didn't sleep that night. Sat at the kitchen table. Small 2-bedroom in Queens. Long after Sophie went down, cold coffee in front of him. Staring at the wall like it owed him an answer. Soul box by the door. Phone face down on the table. He'd already looked at it 11 times. 11 times, missed call. Same number. Voicemail. He listened at 2 a.m. "Mr. Morrison. This is Patricia Brooks. Mess. Hartford's executive assistant. I know it's late. I wouldn't be calling if it weren't important. Mess. Hartford would like to retain your services on a more regular basis. I understand this is unusual. I understand you have your own work, your own life, your own daughter. I'm not asking for an answer tonight. I'm asking for a meeting. Tomorrow morning. 9, please, just a meeting. Please call me back." He played it twice, then a 3rd time, set the phone down, put his face in his hands, let out a long, slow breath from somewhere south of his ribs. Didn't call back. Set his alarm for 6:30. Went to Sophie's room, stood in her doorway, watching her sleep. Stuffed rabbit clutched against her chin. Whispered, "What did you do, baby? What did you go and do?" 9 a.m. James stood outside the building on Park Avenue. Sophie's hand in his, absolutely no plan in his head. Hadn't called Patricia back, just showed up. Told himself he was showing up to politely decline. Told himself a man like him didn't take charity from a woman like her. That whatever happened yesterday was a moment. Just a moment, and moments end. Told himself a lot of things on the subway ride over. Not a single one was the real reason. He stood on that sidewalk now. The real reason tugged on his hand. "Daddy, are we going up to see the sad lady?" James crouched down. Eye level. "Sophie, listen. We're not. We're going to talk to a different lady. The one with the clipboard. Just for a minute, then we're leaving. Okay?" "Why?" "Because." He stopped. Didn't know why. "Because adults have to talk about adult things. Sometimes. Is the sad lady not there?" "She's there, baby. We're just not going to bother her." Sophie considered this, swinging on his arm. "Daddy, I wasn't bothering her yesterday. I was helping her. I know you were, sweetheart. So why is it bothering today and not bothering yesterday?" James didn't have an answer. Never did. Patricia met them in the foyer. 2 cups of coffee, 1 juice box. She'd been waiting, Mr. Morrison. Thank you for coming. I didn't say I was coming. You're here. I'm here to tell you no. In person, figured I owed her that much. Patricia looked at him. Long moment. Then she handed Sophie the juice box. Knelt down, sweetheart. Would you like to look at the fish? There's a tank in the next room. 7 fish. They have names. The orange one is Gerald. Gerald? That's a silly name for a fish. I think so too, Sophie went. Patricia stood. Turned to James. The polished assistant from yesterday was gone. What stood in front of him now was just a tired woman, 50s, who'd worked too many hours, for too many years, for a person she clearly cared about, more than she should. Mr. Morrison. Can I be honest with you? I'd appreciate it. I've worked for Linda Hartford for 19 years. I've seen her negotiate hostile takeovers in 3 languages. I've seen her fire her own brother. On Christmas Eve, I've seen her bury her father and walk into a board meeting 40 minutes later. Close a $400 million deal. Without one wrinkle in her suit. I have never seen her do what she did yesterday. Mom, she ate, Mr. Morrison. She ate 3 pieces of toast. She drank the tea. She had soup at lunch, soup, again at dinner, last night. She let the night nurse into the room, help her into bed. For the first time in 9 days, she slept 6 hours. The doctor came this morning. She let him take her vitals, without throwing anything at him. James stared at the floor. And the first thing she said when she woke up was, "Are they coming back?" Ma'am, with respect, I'm a maintenance technician, I'm not. I don't know what she thinks I can give her. But I can't be what she needs. She needs doctors. She needs therapists. She's had all of those, Mr. Morrison. She's had the best of all of those. She's burned through $12 million of those in 6 months. And she has gotten worse, not better. Then I'm sorry, but me bringing my 5-year-old daughter into a billionaire's bedroom every day is not a treatment plan. It's not even. It's not normal. It's not safe. For her, for Sophie. I don't know what your boss is offering, but the answer is no. Patricia was quiet. Long second, then. She's not offering you anything yet, Mr. Morrison. She told me to tell you that. She said, and I'm quoting, "Don't try to buy him, he'll walk." James blinked. She just wants to talk to you. 10 minutes. She said if after 10 minutes you still want to walk away, she'll pay you for your time. And she'll never contact you again. She gave me her word. And what does her word mean? Patricia looked him dead in the eye. In 19 years, I have never seen her break it. James stood there. Marble foyer. What felt like a year. Could see Sophie through the doorway. Kneeling in front of the glass tank, talking to a fish. 10 minutes. 10 minutes is fine. She wasn't in the wheelchair this time. Leather armchair by the window. Someone transferred her. James saw the folded transfer board, leaning against the wall, the kind he'd seen in his uncle's nursing home years ago. Blackout curtains open. Pale grey morning light filled the bedroom. Broken glass gone. Room smelled faintly like coffee. Linda Hartford looked different. Hair washed clean. Soft cashmere sweater. Loose trousers. Blanket across her lap. Still exhausted. Still looked like a woman who'd been to hell. But present. A person sitting in a chair, not a wound in a bathrobe. Mr. Morrison, ma'am. Sit down, please. James sat, chair across from her. Didn't know what to do with his hands. Folded them in his lap. Unfolded them. Put them on his knees. Where's your daughter? With Patricia. There's a fish. Gerald. You know about Gerald? A small, tired smile touched the corner of her mouth. I named him. You named your fish, Gerald. I named all my fish after people I fired. James didn't mean to laugh. It came out before he could stop it. Short, surprised, real. She heard it. Her eyes flicked up to his face for 1 second. He saw something there. That he was almost certain. Hadn't been on her face in a long time. Surprise, Mr. Morrison. I'm going to say some things to you. And I'd like you to let me finish before you respond. Is that fair? Yes, ma'am. Don't call me ma'am, please. My name is Linda. Yes, ma'am. Linda, yes. Linda took a breath, gathered herself, became, for a moment, the woman who ran a Fortune 500 company, spine-straightening hands folding precisely on top of the blanket. 6 months ago, I was in a car accident on the West Side Highway. The driver of the other vehicle was a 23-year-old man who had been drinking. He walked away with a broken wrist. I did not. I have what's called an incomplete spinal injury. at the T6 vertebra. I have no function below my hips. I have partial function in my left hand. The doctors tell me there is a window of recovery, with intensive therapy, that will close in approximately 4 months. After that, what I have is what I have. She said all of this in the calm, even voice of a woman reading a stock report. In the 11 weeks I have been home from the hospital, I have made my recovery impossible. I have driven away every person who has tried to help me. I have refused to do my exercises. I have refused to eat. I have refused, on multiple occasions, to take my medication. I am, by any reasonable medical definition, killing myself. Slowly, on purpose. James didn't move. Yesterday morning your daughter walked into this room with a piece of toast and asked me to eat it, and I did, and I do not know why. I have spent 15 hours trying to understand why, and I do not have an answer. The closest I have come is this. She did not look at me like I was broken. She did not look at me like I was rich. She did not look at me like I was anything but a sad person who needed breakfast. And for the first time in 6 months, I was able to be that. Just that. Just a sad person who needed breakfast. Her voice cracked, very slightly, on the last word. She didn't stop. My doctors tell me I have, at the outside, 4 months to begin meaningful rehabilitation, or my window closes. I have wasted 3 of those months. I have one. And the thing that finally got me to take a bite of food was a 5-year-old child. Linda, let me finish. James swallowed, nodded. I am not asking you to be my nurse. I have nurses. I am not asking you to be my therapist. I have a therapist coming this afternoon, the first one I have allowed back in this apartment. In 2 months. I am not asking your daughter to be my medicine. I would never ask a child to carry that, what I am asking. And please understand how difficult it is for me to ask anyone for anything, is whether you would be willing to come and do your work here, in this building, for the next 4 months. James opened his mouth. I'm not finished. He closed it. I own this building, Mr. Morrison. There are 78 units. There is always work. I have spoken to your supervisor. He is, to put it gently, thrilled at the idea of a long-term contract. Your pay would be tripled. Your hours would be flexible. You could bring your daughter when you needed to. There is a daycare on the 4th floor, fully accredited, fully vetted. That I would cover, for the duration. James stared. In return, I am asking only this. When you are in the building, you stop by this apartment once a day. You don't have to come in. You don't have to speak to me. You knock on the door. If I say go away, you go away. And that counts. If I say come in, you come in and you sit and you say nothing. And you leave when you want to leave. That is it. That is the entire arrangement. You are not my caregiver. You are not my friend. You are not my employee in any meaningful sense. You are a man who knocks on a door. She looked at him then, eyes very bright. I am asking you to be a knock on a door. Mitties, because for some reason I do not. James sat, quiet bedroom, grey light falling across the floor. Didn't say anything. Long time. Finally, why me? Because you didn't try to fix me yesterday. I didn't know how. Exactly. That's not Linda. That's not a qualification. That's a confession, Mr. Morrison. Every person in my life who has tried to fix me has been the most qualified person in their field. Surgeons, specialists. The head of physical therapy at Johns Hopkins flew here in February. He lasted 48 hours. The only person who has gotten me to do anything in 6 months is a child who didn't know what she was supposed to be afraid of. I'm not looking for qualifications anymore. I'm looking for a person who walks into a room and doesn't change because of who I am. James thought about that. I have to think about it, of course. And I have to talk to my daughter, of course. And if at any point this stops being good for her, for Sophie, I'm gone. I don't care about the money. I don't care about the contract. I don't care if I'm in the middle of a sentence. She is my whole life. She is the reason I get up. If she gets confused or scared, or attached in a way I can't manage, I'm out the door. And I don't look back. Are we clear on that, Crystal? And one more thing. Yes, James met her eyes. Don't you ever thrum something at her. Something passed across Linda Hartford's face. Shame, mostly. He saw it land, saw her absorb it. It will not, she said quietly. I give you my word. James nodded once, stood up. I'll have an answer for you by tomorrow morning. Thank you. He was at the door when she said his name again. James. He turned, What you said yesterday, about your wife, he waited. I didn't ask, and I'm not asking. But I want you to know that I heard it. And I haven't stopped thinking about it. It was the first true thing anyone has said to me. In this room, since I came home. James looked at the carpet. Long moment. Then back at her. Her name was Anna, he said. She was a third-grade teacher. She had brown eyes and a laugh like a kid. She died of a stroke in our kitchen on a Tuesday morning. While I was at work, Sophie was 2. She doesn't really remember her. I tell her stories, but they're my stories, not hers. That's the part I don't know how to fix. Linda's hand came up, covered her mouth. I'm sorry, she whispered. Yeah, me too. He left the room. In the foyer, Sophie sat cross-legged in front of the koi tank, telling the orange fish a long, complicated story about a princess who lived in a castle made of mashed potatoes. Patricia watched her, in cresses of helpless tenderness that James recognized because he'd worn it himself. For 5.5 years. Sophie, time to go baby. Daddy, dealt bored. He wants me to come back. James crouched down, took both his daughter's small hands in his, looked at her very seriously. Sophie, I need to ask you something important, and I need you to think about it. Answer. Okay? Okay, the lady upstairs, the sad lady. She's asked if Daddy can come work in this building for a long time, a few months. And if you wanted to, you could come too sometimes. There would be a place for you to play with other kids, and sometimes you could come up and visit the sad lady if she was having a good day, but only if you wanted to, and only if it wasn't too much. Do you understand? Sophie thought about it. Bro furrowed, very, very serious. Daddy. Yeah, baby. Is the sad lady going to get less sad? I don't know, sweetheart. Maybe a little. We don't know yet. Can we help her get less sad? James felt something rise in his throat. Swallowed it down, maybe a little baby. But we can't fix her. Nobody can fix anybody else. Do you understand that? Sophie nodded. Then, Mommy got fixed. What? Mommy got fixed. She's in heaven. She's all better now. James couldn't speak. So if we can't fix the lady on earth, maybe we can just be her friend. Until she's less sad, like Grandma was my friend. When I was sad about Mommy. James pulled his daughter into his chest, held her. Long time. Yeah, baby. Yeah, we can be her friend, until she's less sad. Okay, Daddy, okay. He stood, picked her up, looked at Patricia over Sophie's head. Tell her yes. Patricia's eyes filled. She nodded, didn't trust herself to speak. James walked to the elevator. Sophie laid her head on his shoulder. Daddy. Yeah, sweetheart. I think I'd like to be Gerald's friend too. I think Gerald would like that very much. The elevator doors closed, 62 floors above them. In a quiet bedroom, flooded with gray morning light, a woman who had been a fortress for 6 months, and a stranger to herself for far longer than that, picked up the phone, hand that still didn't quite work right, called her physical therapist, said, in a voice she barely recognized as her own, I'm ready to start today, if you can. The first week was the hardest. James told himself on the subway ride home that night that he could do this. Walk into that building every morning. Fix what needed fixing. Knock once on a door. Walk out without leaving pieces of himself behind. Told himself he was a professional. That he'd built walls higher than this in the years since Anna. Told himself a lot of things. Wrong about most of them. Monday morning, 10 sharp. James stood outside the penthouse door. Work belt around his waist. Hair still damp from the shower. Raised his hand to knock. Couldn't. Stood there a full minute. Maybe 2. Something in his chest pulling tight, like a fist around his ribs. He knocked. Come in. Her voice steady. Different. James pushed the door open. Linda sat at a small writing desk near the window. Not in bed. Not in the wheelchair tucked off in a corner. Pretending to be furniture. At a desk, laptop open. Hair pulled back in a loose braid, done by someone else. Recently. She wore reading glasses. Looked up over them when he came in, Mr. Morrison. Just James is fine. James then. Please don't call me Miss Hartford. We've been over this. Yes, Linda, sorry. How long are you staying? James hesitated. How long do you want me to stay? That isn't how this works. Her voice crisp, not cold. The agreement was that you decide. I'm the door. You're the knock. Right. 10 minutes then. I have a leak on the 42nd floor at 11. 10 minutes is fine. He sat down, chair already pulled up across from her desk. Didn't ask who put it there. didn't need to, could feel Patricia's quiet hand in everything. That happened in this apartment. Silence sat between them. 30 seconds, 40, a minute. You don't have to talk, Linda said, eyes still on her screen. I want you to understand that. You really don't. Okay, some people fill silence because they think it's kind. I don't need that. I've had 6 months of people filling silence at me. It doesn't help. Got it. Good. She typed another minute. James sat, watched a pigeon on the window ledge outside, noticed his shoulders up around his ears, made himself drop them. What are you working on? He asked before he could stop himself. She didn't look up. An email to my chief operating officer, informing him that I will be returning to active duties in a limited capacity, beginning the 1st of next month. Are you? I haven't decided, but the email exists now. Sometimes you have to write the thing before you know if you mean it. James thought about that, about all the texts he'd drafted to Anna's mother in the months after the funeral. Owns he never sent. Yeah, I get that. She glanced up at him, over her glasses, just for a second, then back down. Your daughter, at the daycare they're doing. I think she said something about a parade. Wednesdays they do a fish parade. They march around the koi tank in the lobby, with paper crowns. How do you know that? I own the building. Right? And I asked. James looked at her. She didn't look up. After 8 minutes he stood, set his hand on the back of the chair. I'll see you tomorrow. James. Yeah. Thank you for coming. He didn't know what to say to that. Nodded once. Let himself out. Tuesday she said go away. He went. Wednesday she said come in. Didn't speak to him for the entire 10 minutes. James sat, watched the pigeon, left. Thursday she said come in. Asked him about his daughter. What's she like? Sophie. James thought about it. She's stubborn. She's funny. She has a thing where, if she doesn't know what to say, she just says the most honest thing she can think of. Like a tiny, terrifying lawyer. She loves dinosaurs. But only the herbivores, because she says the meat eaters are mean. She picks flowers from people's window boxes on the way to school, and I have to keep telling her that's stealing. And she keeps telling me they were going to die anyway, so it's a rescue. Linda laughed, small, dry sound, like a door opening that hadn't been opened in a long time. But it was a laugh. She put her hand to her mouth, surprised by it. James saw her do it. She sounds like a force of nature. She is. Her mother was the same way. Anna, tell me about her. James looked at her, long moment. He hadn't told anyone about Anna in a long time. His mother sometimes, sister-in-law on the holidays, his own father once, drunk 3 Christmases ago. That was it, the whole list. You sure? Only if you want to. I'm not. I'm not asking as a trade. You don't have to give me a piece of you. To be in this room, I know. Then only if you want to. James sat back in the chair, looked at his hands, took a breath. Anna was a 3rd-grade teacher at a public school in Queens. She had a thing about kids who got left behind, not the troublemakers. The quiet ones, the ones nobody noticed. She'd come home and tell me about them. Marcus, who didn't talk for the first 3 weeks of school. Aliyah, whose father was deported in October. She remembered every single name, kept lists of birthdays in a notebook. She'd buy them little things, pencils, erasers, a $5 book, out of our grocery money. Every single one, every year. I used to give her hell about it. The grocery money. Anna, we don't have it this month. And she'd say, James, they don't have it any month. And that was it. That was the whole conversation, every time. He looked up. Linda was watching him. Face very still. She had a stroke in our kitchen on a Tuesday morning. She was 31. There was no warning, no history, nothing. The autopsy said a clot from a tiny defect she'd had since she was a baby. Nobody ever found. She was making toast. Sophie was in the high chair. Sophie called 911 because Anna taught her, when she was 1, how to call 911. By the time I got there, she was gone. She'd been gone for 40 minutes. They let me sit with her in the kitchen before they took her. I sat on the kitchen floor. For I don't know how long. Sophie was asleep in her playpen. She slept through all of it. Jim realized his hands were shaking, flattened them against his knees. Sorry, don't apologize. I haven't. I don't usually. James, don't apologize. He nodded, couldn't look at her. After a long moment she said, very quietly, thank you for telling me. Yeah, She sounds like a person worth knowing. She was. And you sound like a person who knew her well. James let out a breath, half a laugh, half something else. I don't know about that, I do. He looked at her then. She was still watching him, eyes very bright, wet, didn't try to hide it. James, can I tell you something? Yeah. My mother died when I was 11. Cancer. My father remarried within a year. By the time I was 13, I had decided that I would never let another person leave me again. By the time I was 25, I had built a company that meant I never needed another person, period. I got very good at it. I am extraordinarily good at it. And then 6 months ago, I drove home from a charity gala, and a drunk kid in a Honda hit me at 60 miles an hour, and I lost the use of my legs, and I realized, lying in that hospital bed, that I had spent 30 years building a life in which there was no one to call. There were 97 people in my contacts who would have flown across the world for a meeting. There was no one to bring me a sandwich. Linda, I'm not telling you for sympathy. I'm telling you because when your daughter walked in here last Tuesday with that piece of toast, I think part of what broke me was that she was the first person in 11 weeks who showed up for me without an agenda, without a contract, without a transactional reason. She just saw somebody who needed something, and she brought it. And it has been so long since anyone did that for me that I forgot it was a thing people did. James didn't know what to say, and then her father, Linda, went on. Came in here and told me about his dead wife, as if I were a person worth telling. Not a CEO, not a paycheck, a person. And I don't know what to do with that, James. I genuinely do not know what to do with that. I was much better at this when everyone was a transaction. Yeah, that's all you have to say. Yeah. Linda laughed again, real one this time. Wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Your 10 minutes are up, Mr. Morrison. They've been up for a while. I know. I have to go fix a garbage disposal. I know. James stood, picked up his work belt from where he'd dropped it, on the floor, paused at the door. Linda, yes, for what it's worth. You're not a transaction either. He left before she could answer. By the end of the second week, James stopped counting minutes. Came at 10, sometimes stayed 20, sometimes stayed 40, once on a Friday. When Linda had a bad night, hands shaking too badly to hold her coffee, he stayed for 2 hours, didn't say a word, just sat in the chair, read the newspaper, got up once to refill her cup, with a straw in it, the way Patricia quietly showed him in the kitchen the day before. That Friday was the first day he saw her physical therapist. The man was small, ferocious, maybe 52, looked like he could bench press a grand piano, came at noon. Linda pushed him back to noon, specifically. James figured out so that there would be a witness. Didn't say that, didn't have to. Could see it in the way she sat up straighter. When the man walked in, the way her jaw set, the way her eyes flicked toward James's chair. And away again. You staying? The man asked, pulling a mat out of a duffel. James looked at Linda. He's staying, she said. All right, Mr. Morrison. You're going to see some things in the next 45 minutes that aren't pretty. She's going to cry. She's going to swear. She's going to tell me to get out of her apartment. She's going to tell you to get out of her apartment. None of it is personal. None of it counts. Are we clear? Yes, sir. Good man. The man, Stephen Harper, started with her hands. Just her hands. Had her squeeze a softball. 10 reps. 15. 20. Left hand failed at 6. She made a sound in her throat, equal parts rage, grief. Again, Stephen said, I can't. You can 6 more. Stephen, I can't. That's why I'm doing this stupid exercise. I cannot pick it up. Try. She tried. Her fingers fluttered. The ball moved an inch. Her face crumpled. She turned her head away from both of them. James didn't move. Watched her. Didn't move. Didn't say anything. After 20 seconds, she opened her eyes. Reached for the ball again. With a kind of fury James had never seen on a human face. And she got it. And she squeezed it. And she dropped it. And she got it again. And she squeezed it. And she dropped it. And she got it again. 5, Stephen said softly. That's 5. Beautiful, beautiful. Linda, take a breath. She was crying. Didn't make a sound. The tears just fell. James realized his own hands were clenched. In fists in his lap, made himself unclench them. When the session was over, Stephen packed up. Gone, Linda lay back in the wheelchair. Eyes closed, didn't speak. Long time. James sat, chair across from her. Finally, she said, without opening her eyes, "You can go now." I imagine that wasn't pleasant. "I'm not going, Linda, I'm not going." A pause. "Why?" "Because that was the bravest thing I've ever seen anybody do. And I'm not leaving you alone, with what it cost you. You can throw something at me if you want. I'll stay anyway." Linda let out a long, shaky breath. "I don't have anything to throw." "That's lucky for both of us." She laughed. Small, wet laugh. "James." "Yeah. My left hand worked yesterday. Just yesterday. It worked enough to hold a coffee cup. And today it didn't. Do you know what that's like? Do you know what it's like to wake up every morning, not knowing which version of your body you're going to get?" "I don't, Linda. I don't know what that's like. It is the cruelest thing I have ever experienced. And I have experienced cruel things. I believe you. And the worst part is that I don't get to be angry at anyone. There is no one to be angry at. The drunk kid is in prison. My doctors are doing their jobs. My body is. It's just doing what bodies do, and I have nowhere to put it. So I throw it at the help. You haven't thrown anything in 2 weeks." "I know. That's something, is it?" "Yeah, it is." Long silence. "James." "Yeah. Will you be here tomorrow?" "I'll be here tomorrow. Boss me." He paused, thought about it. "I promise you, Linda. I'll be here tomorrow." She nodded, eyes still closed. Single tear slid down her temple, into her hair. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." That night, James sat at his kitchen table. Agon. Didn't sleep. Agon. But different kind of not sleeping. This time, he was looking at a photograph. One of the only ones he kept out. Small framed picture on the kitchen counter. Anna holding 2-year-old Sophie at a pumpkin patch. Both of them laughing. Sophie's hand buried in Anna's hair. He hadn't picked it up in a long time, picked it up now. Looked at his wife's face, ran his thumb across the glass, over her cheek. The way he used to run it across her actual cheek. When she fell asleep on the couch grading papers. "I don't know what I'm doing, baby," he said quietly. "I don't know what I'm doing." Anna didn't answer, hadn't answered in 3 years. But for the first time in those 3 years, James had the strangest feeling, sitting alone in the dim kitchen, holding a 5-year-old picture, sea humming outside his window. That maybe, somehow, she didn't need to. That maybe she already knew. That maybe she was the one, somewhere, who pushed him into that elevator. On a Tuesday morning, with his daughter holding his hand tool box over his shoulder, absolutely no idea what was waiting for him. On the 62nd floor, he set the photograph back on the counter, kissed his fingers, pressed them to the glass. "Okay, Anna," he whispered. "Okay." Went to bed, for the first time in 3 years. Slept all the way through the night. 3 weeks in, the storm finally came. James should have seen it coming. Looking back later, he'd tell himself that, should have seen it coming. The way you see a dark sky on the horizon. Now the rain is an hour out. Linda had had 4 good days in a row, eaten 3 meals a day, let Stephen work her arms, her core, taken a phone call from her chief operating officer. Used the word Monday like it was a real day, on a real calendar she was planning to be present for. Tuesday, she even let Sophie come up, after the fish parade. The two of them spent 40 minutes drawing pictures of dinosaurs on the back of an inter-office memo, Sophie informing Linda very seriously that the Brontosaurus was a vegetarian, therefore the nicest one. 4 good days. James should have known. Wednesday morning, 10 sharp. He walked in, Linda was back in bed. Curtains drawn, laptop closed. Patricia standing in the hallway outside the bedroom. Red eyes, clipboard pressed flat against her chest, trying to keep her ribs from opening up. "What happened?" James said. "I don't know. She woke up like this, her hand, both hands this morning. And her right leg, there was some sensation last week. A little. She'd been so excited. It's gone. But the doctor was here at 7. He says it's not unusual. He says it's the way these injuries go. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. He was very calm about it. And Patricia's chin trembled. She told him to get out and never come back. She told me to call her lawyer, revoke his hospital privileges. She hasn't said a word in 2 hours. She just stares at the ceiling. I don't know what to do." James set down his work belt on the foyer floor, looked at the closed bedroom door. "Where's Sophie? At the daycare. The Wednesday parade. Good. Keep her there. Whatever happens in the next hour, don't let her come up." I don't care what she says, James. I mean it, Patricia. Not today. He knocked on the door. Didn't wait for an answer. I told you to leave. Her voice was the voice from the first day. The picture voice, the one he hadn't heard in 3 weeks. James pushed open the door. She was lying flat on her back, middle of the enormous bed, fully dressed, eyes on the ceiling, fox dry. That was the thing that scared him. No tears, nothing, just a woman who decided, sometime between sunrise and breakfast, that none of this was worth it anymore. Get out, James. No, I'm not asking. I know you're not. I will have you removed from this building. I will have your contract terminated. I will have your supervisor on the phone. In 3 minutes. Okay. I am not in the mood for this. I know you're not. He pulled the chair over to the bed, sat down. Get out. I'm not getting out, Linda. She turned her head, looked at him. The look on her face was the look of a wounded animal. That has decided, finally, that the only thing left to do is bite. You think you know me. You don't know me. You think because I cried on a piece of toast 3 weeks ago, that I'm some project you can fix. You're not fixing anything. You're a handyman. You unclog drains. You don't get to sit in my bedroom and decide. I'm not deciding anything. I'm sitting in a chair. Get out of my house. No, get out of my house. She came up off the pillow, sound that was half a scream, half a sob. Her good hand flew toward the lamp. On the bedside table, James didn't move, didn't flinch, just looked at her. She stopped, hand on the lamp, shaking, didn't pick it up. Put her hand back down. I gave you my word, she whispered. Voice broke on the third syllable. I gave you my word. I know you did. You didn't. That's what matters. She covered her face with her good hand. The other one lay limp at her side. Shoulders started shaking. Sounds that came out of her were not the quiet weeping of a few weeks ago. These were ugly, the sounds of something tearing. I can't do it, she said. I cannot do it. I cannot get up tomorrow and do it again. I cannot, James. I had 4 days. I had 4 good TDs. I worked for those 4 days. I bled for those 4 days. And I wake up this morning, and my hand is gone again, and my leg is gone again. And it's like they were never there. Like the work was a lie, like my body is laughing at me. I cannot do this. I cannot. Linda. Don't, Linda, listen to me, don't. He waited, let her cry, didn't say a word, didn't reach for her, didn't move. Sat in the chair. Was a knock on a door. The door was wide open now. A woman drowning on the other side of it. Only thing he knew to do. The only thing in the entire world he knew to do was not look away. After a long time, she said, very quietly, into her hand. I'm so tired, I know. I am so tired, James, I know. You don't know. You don't know what it's like to wake up every day and not own your own body, not be able to trust a single thing about yourself. I used to run 6 miles before breakfast. I used to fly to London for a meeting and back the same day. I used to dance. I used to dance, James. I used to be good at it. My mother taught me when I was little. And now I cannot lift my left foot off this bed. I cannot lift it half an inch. And I am supposed to. I am supposed to be grateful for the fact that yesterday I could squeeze a foam ball 6 times. 6 times. Like a child. Yeah. That's all you have to say. Yeah. Linda lowered her hand, looked at him. Yeah. Because you're right. I don't know. I don't have any idea what that's like, Linda. Nobody who hasn't lived it has any idea. And I'm not going to insult you by pretending I do. Then why are you still in this chair? James took a breath, held it, let it out, because 3 years ago, I sat on a kitchen floor, next to my dead wife, for 4 hours. And there was nobody in that chair for me. There was nobody, Linda. The paramedics came and went. The medical examiner came and went. My mother got there eventually. But she was destroyed. She couldn't even stand up. And I sat on that floor, with Anna's hand in mine, and I waited for somebody to come and tell me what to do next. And nobody did. Nobody for 4 hours. And I made myself a promise that day, that if I ever saw someone sitting on a floor like that, I would sit down with them. I wouldn't fix it. I wouldn't talk. I would just sit, because that's what I needed. And nobody knew to do it. His own voice was rough now. Didn't try to smooth it. You're on a floor right now, Linda. I can see you. I'm not going anywhere. She looked at him. Long time. I almost threw a lamp at you. I know. You didn't move. I know. Why didn't you move? Because if you had thrown it, You would have hated yourself for the rest of your life. And I wasn't going to let that be the last thing that happened in this room today. Sound came out of her. That wasn't a laugh, wasn't a sob. Both at once. You idiot. You could have been hit. I had faith in you. Faith in what? I'm a monster on a Wednesday. You're a person who's hurting on a Wednesday. There's a difference. Is there? There is. She closed her eyes. Long silence. James. Yeah. I want to tell you something. I have never told anyone, and I want you to promise me. You will not say anything kind about it. You will not try to make it better. You will just hear it, and let it sit in the room. Can you do that? I can do that. She opened her eyes, looking at the ceiling again. The night of the accident, after they pulled me out of the car. Before the ambulance got there, I was on the asphalt. I couldn't move. I knew, before any of them said a word, that something was very wrong. I couldn't feel my legs, and I couldn't move my arms. And I was looking up at the sky, and the ambulance I could hear it. I could hear the siren, but it was still a long way off, and in that moment, lying on the West Side Highway, looking up at the sky, I had a thought. She paused. James waited. I thought, good, maybe I won't make it. Maybe this is over. And the relief I felt, James, the relief. That is the thing I have not been able to tell anyone in 6 months. That for 1 whole minute, on the asphalt, I was grateful that I was going to die because I was so tired of the life I had built. I was so tired of the woman I had become. I had every single thing a human being is supposed to want, and I was lying in the street, hoping the ambulance would be slow. Linda, you said you wouldn't say anything kind. I'm not. I was just saying your name. Don't, okay. Long silence, and then the ambulance got there. She said, and they saved me, and I have been so angry at them for 6 months. James, I have been so angry at every single person who has tried to keep me alive, because I was done. I had checked out. I had been given a clean exit, and they took it from me. And now I'm here, in this body, in this apartment, with this life I never asked them to save. James didn't speak, and then your daughter walked in here 3 weeks ago. With a piece of toast, he waited and... I sat there, looking at this 5-year-old child, and I thought about what would have happened if the ambulance had been a little slower, and I thought about her. Growing up in a world where I died on the highway, and she never met me, and I thought for the first time in 6 months, I thought, maybe. I'm glad they got there in time. For 1 second, for 1 tiny second, I thought, maybe. And it has been the most terrifying thought I have had since the accident. Because if I am glad to be alive, even for 1 second, then all this work, all this hurt, all these stupid foam balls, all of it is something I'm choosing. And I don't know how to choose it. On a Wednesday, when my left hand doesn't work, she turned her head, looked at him. How do you choose it, James? After Anna. How do you wake up and choose it? James sat very still. I don't. Most days, I just wake up because Sophie's awake, because she needs cereal, because she needs her hair braided, because she has a thing at school. I don't choose. I move, because there's a small person who needs me to move. And then somewhere around lunch, I notice I've been moving for 5 hours. And I haven't thought about it. And then I cry, in the truck on the way to a job. And then I move some more. That's not choosing. No, it's not. Choosing is harder. I haven't gotten to choosing yet. I might not. For a long time. How long has it been? 3 years and 4 months. And you still haven't chosen? Not really. No. Then what are you doing, James? What are you doing? He thought about it. Long time. I think I'm just trying not to disappear. Anna used to say that. About people who lose somebody. She said the danger isn't dying. The danger is disappearing. You wake up one day, and you realize you haven't been a person in a year. You've just been a function, a dad, or a worker, or a guy who pays the bills, and the you of you is gone. She used to say that about her grandfather, after her grandmother died. She said he disappeared a year before he actually died. And are you disappearing? Yeah? I think I have been. I think I've been disappearing for 3 years. And now, he looked at her. And now, I think I'm coming back. A little, I don't know why. I don't know how. But I sat in this room 2 weeks ago and watched you squeeze a foam ball 6 times. And I felt something in my chest that I haven't felt in 3 years. And I went home. And I slept, Linda. I slept all the way through the night, for the first time. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what it means. But it happened. And I think it has something to do with sitting in this chair. She was crying again. Quickly now. Good kind of crying. The Ken that didn't tear. James, yeah. I want you to do something for me. Yeah. I want you to keep coming. Even on Wednesdays, even when I'm a monster. I want you to promise me. I know it's not fair. I know I have no right. But I'm asking. I am asking. Because I do not have anyone else to ask. And because I am afraid that if you stop coming, I will go back to being the woman who hoped the ambulance was slow. And I do not want to be that woman anymore. I do not want to be that woman. Linda, I'll keep coming. Bamum me. I promise you. On Sophie, bamum me on Sophie. He paused. I promise you on Sophie. She nodded, closed her eyes. Her good hand reached out slow. Uncertain. Stopped halfway across the bed, hovered there. James understood, reached out, took her hand. First time he'd touched her since that first day. Her hand was thin. Fenver's didn't grip back the way they should. He held it carefully, like something that might break. Thank you. She whispered. You're welcome for staying. You're welcome for not throwing me away. When I was throwing myself away, he didn't answer, just held her hand. After a while she said, eyes still closed. James, will you do me one more thing? Yeah. Will you tell Stikin to come back this afternoon? I don't want to. I don't want to do it. But I want you to tell him, for me. Because if I tell him myself, I'll find a reason to cancel. And if you tell him, I'll have to do it. Will you tell him? I'll tell him. And will you stay? For the session. I'll stay for the session. Even though I'll be horrible. Even though you'll be horrible. Okay. James stayed in that chair another 40 minutes. Didn't let go of her hand. Some point, she fell asleep. Not the dead ceiling staring sleep of the morning. But real sleep. Ragged, exhausted. Human. He waited until her breathing slowed, then very gently set her hand back down on the blanket. In the foyer, Patricia was waiting. Looked at his face. Didn't ask. He didn't tell. Tell Stephen 2 o'clock. He'll be there. Okay. And Patricia, yes. When Sophie comes up after the parade, let her bring up a drawing. Just one. Slip it under the door. Don't let her come in. Just the drawing. Patricia nodded. She was crying. Okay. Thank you. James picked up his work belt. Off the foyer floor. Walked out of that apartment. Down the hall toward the elevator. Somewhere between the bedroom door and the lobby. I realized his face was wet too. Had been for a while. Got in the elevator. Doors closed. Looked at himself in the mirrored panel. 1 second saw a man he hadn't seen in 3 years. Then the doors opened on the lobby. Small voice yelled, "Daddy!" Sophie came running. Across the marble. Paper crown on her head. Fish-shaped cracker in each hand. James dropped down on one knee. Caught her. Held her. Didn't let go. Long time. The drawing Sophie slid under the door that afternoon was a stick figure of a woman in a wheelchair. Holding hands with a stick figure of a little girl above them. In shaky purple crayon. The words, "You are my friend." Linda kept it on the bedside table, where she could see it. Would later have it framed. But that was getting ahead of things. Still 10 weeks of work to get through, before the framing. 10 weeks of mornings. Stephen showed up at noon. James sat in the chair. Linda did things she said on a Wednesday in early March she could not do. Tens of foam balls. Parallel bars, the small brutal mathematics of recovery. 6 reps becoming 8, becoming 12. Left hand learning, slowly, painfully, to hold a coffee cup again, then a pen, then a child's small sticky fingers, when Sophie slipped her hand into Linda's during a Friday afternoon visit. And Linda, for the first time in 6.5 months, squeezed back. She cried that night. Not the bad crying, the other kind. By the end of April, she was standing, wasn't walking. Stephen was very clear with her that it might never be walking. What they were aiming for was something the doctors had called functional ambulation. The ability to transfer, to stand for short periods, to take supported steps with a walker, to live in a body that worked, even if it didn't run anymore. Linda had not taken this news well. There had been a bad afternoon. Words exchanged. James sat in the chair through that one too. At the end of it, Linda looked at him, red eyes. "I used to dance, James. I know. I'm never going to dance again. Maybe not the way you used to. Don't, Linda, listen to me. You are alive. Your fish, Gerald, your fish is alive. And you have somebody to come and feed him. You have a brother you haven't talked to in 4 years. And Patricia told me yesterday. You called him. Did you? She didn't answer. Did you? I called him. What did he say? He cried, there you go. That's not dancing, James. No, it's not. But it's something. And maybe the new dancing is. Maybe it's standing up at your brother's daughter's wedding. Maybe it's holding onto a walker and walking 10 feet across a room because there's somebody at the other end you want to get to. Maybe dancing isn't the point. Maybe getting to the person on the other side of the room is the point. And maybe you've been confused about that your whole life. She stared at him. Long time. That was a very long speech for a maintenance technician. I've been thinking about it. It shows. But she laughed when she said it. Next morning, she asked Stephen to set up the parallel bars. Second week of May. Linda Hartford went back to her office. For the first time in 9 months, didn't walk in, rolled in. In a wheelchair she personally selected, charcoal suit, retailored to fit her sitting down. Patricia on her left. A physical therapist on her right. Lobby of Hartford Global. 60 floors of glass and steel that bore her name. Went absolutely silent when she came through the revolving door. 900 employees in that building. By noon. Every single one of them knew she was back. She rolled into the boardroom. 14 men. 3 women. Around the table, most had been preparing for 9 months to manage her decline. Several had been preparing for 9 months to replace her. She knew exactly who. Had a list, didn't use the list. Sat at the head of the table, they'd removed a chair to make room for her. Looked around at every single face when she spoke. Her voice was the voice of the woman they remembered. But quieter. Not weaker. Quieter. Good morning. Good morning, Ms. Hartford. I'd like to begin by saying thank you to this company, to the people in this building, to all of you for keeping the lights on. While I was away, I owe you my professional life. I do not say that lightly, and I will not forget it. Long silence. I'd also like to say that the woman who left this room 10 months ago is not the woman who has come back to it. I am physically less than I was. I have come to terms with that. What I have not come to terms with, what I refuse to come to terms with, is the kind of CEO I was. For the last decade of this company's history, I was effective. I was profitable. I was, by most measures, excellent, but I was also, and I am going to say this only once, a person who valued no one in this room as a person, including myself, especially myself. Could hear a pen drop on that table. That is going to change. Starting today, I am not turning this into a non-profit. I am not going soft. We are going to continue to be the most profitable real estate firm on the Eastern Seaboard, and we are going to continue to be the best at what we do. But we are going to do it as human beings, who go home to other human beings at the end of the day. The first person who tells me a story this year about working through their child's birthday because of a deadline I set is going to find me very, very unpleasant. Are we clear? Heeds nodded. Good, Thomas. You're going to brief me on the Tribeca development, Monica. You're going to walk me through the second quarter projections. We have 90 minutes. Let's begin. That night, James was in his apartment in Queens, putting together a Lego dinosaur with Sophie on the living room rug when his phone rang. Number he didn't have saved, but he knew it. Hello, James, it's me. Hey, how'd it go? There was a pause on the other end. He heard her breathing, heard the city outside her window. 62 floors up. I think I might still be a CCO. Yeah, I think I might be a slightly better one. That doesn't surprise me at all. Small broken laugh. James, I want to ask you something, and I want you to think about it, and I want you to feel free to say no. Okay. I would like to keep you on, permanently, as I don't know what to call it. Building manager. Operations supervisor. Director of facilities for Hartford Holdings. Pick a title. I don't care. The pay is real money, James. Not maintenance technician money. Real money. The kind of money that means Sophie can go to college without you working 3 jobs. The kind of money that means you can take a Saturday off. James didn't answer right away. I'm not. James, listen. I'm not offering this because of any of it. I am offering it because I have watched you for 10 weeks fix every problem in that building. Before anyone else even knew there was a problem. You are extraordinary at your job. You are frankly wasted at your current pay grade. and I would have noticed it months ago. If I had been a person who noticed people, I am noticing it now. I want you on my team. The position would exist, whether you and I had ever met. I want that to be clear. Linda, yes, you don't have to dress it up. I know I don't. I'm dressing it up because I am terrified. You'll say no and I am protecting myself. James laughed. Couldn't help it. Sophie looked up from the Lego dinosaur. Daddy. Who is it? It's the lady baby, the not sad lady. Yes, sweetheart, the not sad lady. Tell her I say hi. Sophie says hi. Tell her hi back. She says hi back, baby. Go work on the dinosaur. James stood up, walked into the kitchen. Linda, yes, I have to think about it. Of course. Not because I don't want it, because it's a big change. And I have to make sure it's right for Sophie, her routines, her school, her everything. I'm not going to make a decision in one night. That affects her whole life. That's exactly why I want to hire you. James smiled. Didn't know why. I'll have an answer by Friday. Friday is fine. Pause. James. Yeah. Thank you. You said that already. I'm going to keep saying it. For a while. Probably forever. You're going to have to get used to it. Okay. Good night, James. Good night, Linda. He hung up, stood in his small kitchen, looked at the photograph on the counter. Anna, holding 2-year-old Sophie. Logging. What do you think, baby? He whispered. Anna didn't answer, but the kitchen was quiet. His daughter was on the rug behind him, singing under her breath. About a brontosaurus. He had the feeling. For the second time in his life, that the answer was already obvious, if he was brave enough to hear it. Took the job on Friday. Sophie's daycare became permanent. The drawings on Linda's wall multiplied by the time summer came. There were 11 of them. Linda had begun, on the better afternoons, to make her way into the lobby at 3, so she could be there when Sophie came down from the daycare. The two of them would sit by the koi tank, have serious conversations about Gerald's emotional state. James would walk past, pretend not to look, always looked. In June, Linda took her first supported steps. In front of him, he hadn't been invited. Stephen called him on his radio. James, your office, 5 minutes. James came up, expecting a leak, expecting a pipe. Walked into the apartment, found Linda standing at the parallel bars in the converted living room that had become her therapy space. Her hands were white-knuckled on the rails, wet. Looking at the doorway, she'd been waiting for him. Walk to me, James said before he knew he was going to say it. James, 5 steps. You can do 5. Walk to me. My legs. I know about your legs. Walk to me, Linda. She did. 5 steps. Slow, agonizing. Kind of steps that would never look like much in a video, but meant everything in that room. On the 5th step, she let go of the rail, fell into him. He caught her, held her up. Stephen was crying. Patricia was crying in the doorway. Linda was laughing. Into his shoulder, actually laughing. The laugh of a woman who had not laughed like that in a year, saying over and over, I did it, I did it, I did it, you did it. I walked, James, you walked. I walked to you. Yeah, you did. He held her until Stephen came over with the wheelchair. They got her sitting again. She wouldn't let go of his hand. Another full minute. He let her hold it. Didn't say anything. Later, after Stephen packed up, Evelyn gone to her own apartment downstairs, Linda and James sat in the living room. Late afternoon light, cups of tea. She said quietly, James, can I tell you something? Yeah. I am never going to be the person I was. I know. And I am okay with that. I think, most days, I think I might actually be okay with that. Yeah, and James, I want to say this carefully, because I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to make it more than it is. I don't want to put a name on it that isn't right. But I want you to know that you are. You and Sophie are. You are the family I did not know I was allowed to have. I am not asking for anything. I am not. I have no expectations. I know you loved Anna. I know you still love Anna. I know I am. I am not the second act of anyone's love story, and I don't want to be. But you are the people I think of when I wake up, and I wanted you to know. James looked at her. Long time. Linda, yes, you don't have to be careful with me. I'm not breakable. I know, and I'm going to tell you something. And I want you to let it land. I'm going to say it once, and then I'm not going to make a thing of it, because I'm a guy from Queens, and we don't do speeches. Okay. He set down his tea, looked at her. I came up here 10 months ago to fix a vent. You asked me to be a knock on a door. That's all. A knock. And somewhere along the way, the door started opening before I knocked, and somewhere along the way, I started looking forward to 10 in the morning, more than any other hour of my day, and somewhere along the way, Sophie started asking, on Saturdays, when she was going to see Miss Linda. We don't have anywhere to be on Saturdays, Linda. She doesn't ask about anybody else, she asks about you. Linda's eyes filled, and I don't know what we are. I don't know what to call it. I don't think I want to call it anything yet, but I know I'm not going anywhere. I know my daughter has decided you are her person, and her instincts on people are better than mine ever were. I know I have not slept on a kitchen floor in 9 months. I know I came up here a man who was disappearing. And somewhere between the foam balls and the parallel bars, I came back, so whatever this is, you don't have to be careful with it. You don't have to apologize for it. You don't have to make it less than it is. We're a family. Whatever shape that is, we're a family. She was crying. He reached over, took her hand, and for the record, he said, I do still love Anna. I'm always going to love her, Anna. That doesn't take anything away from this. That's not how love works. Loaf isn't a pie that runs out of slices. Anna taught me that actually. She used to say it about her students, there's always more. I have to believe she'd want me to find out. If she was right, I think she'd want you to. Yeah, James, yeah. Thank you for staying. He smiled. Tired. Happy. Used up kind of smile, you said that already. I'm going to keep saying it. Yeah, he said softly. Yeah, I know. 2 years later, on a sunny Saturday in late September, Linda Hartford stood with a cane in her right hand. Left hand on James Morrison's arm, at the back of a small reception hall in Brooklyn, watching her brother dance with his daughter. At the daughter's wedding, she had walked down the aisle on James's arm, 15 feet, slow, steady. The entire room stood. Her brother David cried. She had not been saving it, Sophie. Now 7, what's on the dance floor with 2 cousins, hair in elaborate braids. James spent 45 minutes on that morning. She wore a dress Linda picked out, was, by any measure, the happiest 7-year-old in New York City. Linda, James said quietly, you okay? I want to dance. He looked at her. Linda, one song, with you holding me up. I don't care how it looks, I want to dance. He looked at her, long moment, then nodded, walked her out onto the floor, took her cane, handed it to Patricia, standing at the edge, with Sophie now beside her. Watching hands clapped over her mouth. James put his arms around Linda. She put her arms around his neck. Her legs would not hold all her weight. He held the rest. They didn't really dance, swayed for 3.5 minutes in the middle of a wedding, with a 7-year-old girl watching from the edge of the floor, tears in her eyes, fish-shaped cracker in her hand. Linda Hartford swayed in the arms of the maintenance technician, who walked into her bedroom on a Tuesday morning to fix a vent, ended up by accident, by grace, by the quiet stubbornness of a man who refused to leave a person on the floor, saving her life. When the song ended, she pulled back, looked at him, smiled. James, yeah, I danced, you danced with you, yeah, you did. But that was getting ahead of things. Start where it started to change, not where it ended. 89 days after James Morrison first walked into Linda Hartford's penthouse, she made a decision. She was going back to the office, for real, not for a meeting, not for an appearance. To work day 89 of 90. The board's deadline hung over her head like a sword. Kenneth, her brother, the CFO, had been making calls, quiet ones Linda knew, because Patricia knew, and Patricia told her everything. Kenneth wanted the throne, always had, since they were kids, since their father built the company from nothing, left it to Linda when he died, because she was the eldest, because she was better. Kenneth never forgave that. Now he smelled blood. Told the board Linda was incapacitated, incompetent, a liability, had spent 6 months hiding in a penthouse, throwing water pitchers at nurses, while the company bled. Some of it was true, not all of it, but enough so. Day 89, Linda decided. She was going in, walking, or close enough. James helped her that morning, in the penthouse, 6 a.m., before Sophie woke, before the daycare opened. Just the two of them, and Stephen, who arrived at 5:30. Didn't ask questions. Linda practiced with the walker. 20 steps from the bedroom to the living room. Turn. 20 steps back. Her legs shook. Arms burned. Sweat dripped down her spine. She'd been up since 3. Couldn't sleep. Too wired, too terrified, James stood at the end of the 20 steps. Each time didn't say anything. Just, there how many times? Linda asked. After the 4th round, Stephen checked his watch. You've walked 80 steps in 12 minutes. At this rate, you can do 200 before 9. I don't need 200, I need. She stopped, caught her breath. I need to walk from the lobby to the elevator 15 feet, then from the elevator to the boardroom, maybe 30 feet. Total, 45 feet. You can do 45 feet, can I? You just did 80, that was here, with you, with him. What if I fall, in front of them, in front of Kenneth, in front of 900 employees, who are waiting to see if their CEO is broken? James's voice cut in, calm flot. Then you fall, and you get back up, and you keep walking. Linda turned, looked at him. That's easy for you to say. No, it's not. It's the hardest thing I've ever said, but it's true. She stared at him. Long moment, then nodded. Again, Stephen positioned the walker. Again. 9 a.m. Linda Hartford rolled into the lobby of Hartford Global, in the wheelchair she'd personally selected. Charcoal suit, hair in a neat bun, Patricia on her left, Stephen on her right. The lobby went silent. Glass, steel, 60 floors above her, 900 pairs of eyes. She felt every single one. Rolled to the elevator, doors opened. Patricia. Stephen James stepped in with her. Wait, Linda's voice. James, you're not coming up. Linda, you work in this building now. You have a job. Go do it. I don't need a bodyguard, I'm not. Yes, you are, and I appreciate it. But if I walk into that boardroom with you, they'll think I need you, and I don't. Not for this. James looked at her. She looked back. Steady. Okay, he stepped out. Doors started to close. James, yeah, thank you, anytime. Doors shut. Linda, Patricia, Stephen rode up. Silence. 59 floors. Linda's hands gripped the wheelchair armrests, white-knuckled. Patricia leaned down. Whispered, you don't have to do this. We have the emails, the proof you've been working. That's enough. No, it's not. They need to see me, on my feet. Or they'll never stop seeing me. In this chair. Doors opened, 60th floor executive suite. Linda rolled out down the hallway, toward the boardroom. People stopped, stared, whispered. She ignored them. Reached the boardroom doors. Double doors, walnut, 12 feet tall. Stopped. Stephen the walker. He pulled it from the bag, set it in front of her. Linda transferred, slow, deliberate. Stood. Her legs shook, but held. Patricia opened the doors. Linda Hartford, CO, walked in. 17 people around the table. 14 men, 3 women. All of them turned, stared. Kenneth sat at the far end, where Linda used to sit, smirking, until he saw her, standing walking. Smirk died. Linda walked 15 feet. To the head of the table, Stephen pulled the wheelchair out. Linda sat, carefully, folded her hands on the table. Good morning. Her voice filled the room, steady, clear. Good morning, Ms. Hartford. Scattered, uncertain. Linda smiled. Small cold. I believe there was some concern about my ability to perform my duties as CEO due to my extended absence. I'm here to address that concern and to make a few things very clear. She opened the folder Patricia placed in front of her, slid a stack of papers down the table to each person. Those are copies of 47 emails I have sent to department heads, board members, and external partners over the past 90 days, discussing strategy, approving budgets, negotiating contracts. All from my home office, all documented, all legally binding. If anyone would like to argue that I have not been performing my duties, I invite you to review the evidence. Silence. Kenneth's face went red. Linda. She turned, looked at him. Ice. That's Ms. Hartford. In this room, Kenneth. His jaw tightened. Ms. Hartford. With all due respect, sending emails from a penthouse is not the same as leading a company, being present, making decisions in real time. You're right. Kenneth blinked, surprised, which is why Linda continued. I'm here today. I will be here 3 days a week. Moving forward, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I will work from home. Tuesday, Thursday, to manage my physical therapy schedule, which for those concerned is going exceptionally well. She paused. Let that sink in. Now, let's discuss the Tribeca development. Thomas Tucker, the COO, loyal, competent, spoke up. We're ahead of schedule, below budget, tenants are lined up. We break ground in October. Excellent. And the second quarter projections, Monica, the CFO's assistant, jumped in, revenue up 12%, expenses down 8%. We're projected to close the year 15% above target. Linda nodded, looked around the table. Any other concerns? Kenneth leaned forward. There is one. Linda waited. Greenstone Capital has approached me with an acquisition offer, $2.8 billion. Cash, they're willing to close within 60 days. The room went still. Linda's eyes narrowed. Greenstone Capital, yes. And when, exactly, did they approach you? 3 weeks ago. And you're bringing this to the board now, on day 89 of the 90-day review period. Kenneth shrugged. I wanted to be sure. It was a serious offer. Linda's voice went cold. Lethal, or you wanted to wait until you thought I wouldn't be here to stop it. Kenneth's face flushed. That's absurd. Is it? Patricia, the folder. Patricia handed Linda another folder. Linda opened it, slid papers down the table. Agan, those are emails between Kenneth Hartford and the CEO of Greenstone Capital discussing, in detail, the terms of a sale at below market value, $2.8 billion, when our current valuation is $3.5 billion, a discount of $700 million in exchange for, and I quote, a consulting fee of $200 million, paid to Kenneth Hartford personally upon closing. Gasps around the table. Kenneth went pale. You can't. I can. And I did. I also this morning submitted copies of these emails to the FBI for investigation into securities fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, and conspiracy to defraud shareholders. Kenneth stood, shaking. You can't do this. I'm your brother. You were my brother. Linda's voice didn't waver. Until you tried to sell my company. Out from under me, while I was learning to walk again. Security. 2 men in suits appeared from the hallway. Escort Mr. Hartford from the building. He is terminated, effective immediately, and banned from all Hartford Global properties. Kenneth looked around the table, wild, desperate. You're all going to let her do this? She's unstable, she can't even walk. Linda stood, slowly, deliberately, using the walker, took 3 steps toward Kenneth. I can walk. I am walking right now. What I cannot do is tolerate betrayal. Get out. The security guards took Kenneth's arms. He struggled, shouted, you'll regret this, you'll. Linda turned her back, sat down. The guards dragged Kenneth out. Doors slammed. Linda looked around the table. 17 faces, pale, shocked. Anyone else have concerns about my ability to lead this company? Silence. Good. Thomas Tribeca Development. Let's review the construction timeline. The meeting continued. Like nothing happened. That night, James was in his apartment, Sophie asleep. When his phone rang, Linda, hey, how'd it go? Silence on the other end. Then, I fired Kenneth, yeah? In front of the board. Had him escorted out by security. Good. He tried to sell the company to Greenstone for $200 million. In his pocket, James let out a low whistle. You okay? Linda's voice cracked, just slightly. I don't know. He's my brother. James was my brother. And I ended him. He tried to end you first, I know. But it doesn't make it easier. James sat down, kitchen table. You did the right thing, did I? Yeah, you did. He made his choice. You protected your company, your people. That's what leaders do. Linda was quiet. Long time. James. Yeah, I'm tired. I'm so tired, and I just want to not be alone, right now. You want me to come over? No, Sophie's asleep. Can you stay on the phone for a while? Yeah, I can do that. So they sat, phones pressed to their ears, 62 floors and 5 miles apart, breathing thing, chair. After 10 minutes, Linda spoke. Tell me about your day. My day? Yeah, something normal, something that isn't. Betrayal and boardrooms and security guards. James smiled. Sophie lost a tooth at lunch, started crying because she thought the tooth fairy wouldn't come if the tooth fell in her applesauce. Did it? Fall in the applesauce? Yeah. We fished it out, washed it, put it under her pillow. She okay now? She's good, excited. Wrote the tooth fairy a note asking for, and I quote, exactly $5, no more, no less. Linda laughed, soft, genuine. That sounds like Sophie. Yeah, James, yeah, thank you. For what? For being normal, for being you. Anytime, Linda. They stayed on the phone another hour until Linda fell asleep. James heard her breathing, slow, even. He didn't hang up. Just set the phone down, on the table. Let her sleep, connected, across the city. 3 months later, Linda called a family meeting. Not a business meeting. Family: James, Sophie, Patricia, Stephen, David, her brother the good one, his wife, their daughter Emma, who was getting married. In 6 months, they gathered. At the penthouse, on a Sunday, late afternoon, Linda ordered pizza, which Patricia pointed out was wildly unlike her. Everyone sat living room. Confused, curious, Linda stood, with the walker, addressed them. I wanted to thank you, all of you, for the last year, for showing up when I didn't deserve it, for staying when I pushed you away, for believing I could come back when I didn't believe it myself. David stood. Linda, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Linda's voice firm. I have spent my entire life not saying things, not feeling things, building walls, and it almost killed me. So I'm saying it now. She turned to Patricia. Patricia, you have been more than an assistant. You have been my conscience, my anchor, my friend, for 19 years. And I have never told you how much that means. Patricia's eyes filled. Linda turned to Stephen. Stephen, you made me believe that my body could do things I thought were impossible, and you never, not once, let me quit, even when I begged. Stephen nodded, throat tight. Linda turned to David. David, I'm sorry for the years I shut you out for being too proud to call, to apologize, to be a sister instead of a CEO. I'm sorry. David crossed the room, hugged her carefully. She hugged back. You're here now. That's what matters. Linda pulled back, wiped her eyes, turned to Sophie. Sophie, sweetheart, come here. Sophie jumped up, ran over. Linda knelt, slow, painful, to eye level. You gave me breakfast when I was too sad to eat, and you taught me that sometimes the bravest thing is just being kind. Thank you. Sophie threw her arms around Linda's neck. You're welcome, Mama Linda. Linda froze, looked at James, over Sophie's shoulder. Mama Linda. James's eyes were wet. He nodded. Linda held Sophie tight. Finally, she stood, looked at James. And you, James. Yeah, you knocked on a door, and you didn't stop knocking even when I told you to go away. You sat in a chair for hours and didn't say a word, and somehow that was exactly what I needed. You reminded me that love isn't fixing someone, it's staying when they're unfixable. And her voice broke. I don't know how to say this without ruining it. James stood, walked over, took her hands. Then don't say it. Linda looked up at him. I have to. Why? Because I've spent 2 years wondering if you feel what I feel, and I can't do this anymore. This careful, polite friendship where we pretend that we're not in love. The room went silent. James stared at her. Linda, I know you still love Anna. I know. I'm not asking you to stop. I'm not asking for anything. I needed you to know. James's hands tightened on hers. Linda, he stopped, looked around the room, everyone staring. Can we talk alone? Linda nodded. They walked, slow, to the bedroom. James closed the door, turned, looked at her. You think I don't feel it? I don't know. Linda, I've felt it since the day Sophie brought you that toast, since the day you cried in her arms, and I watched you break open, and I thought, oh no, yeah, because I knew right then that you were going to crack me open too, and I wasn't ready. Are you ready now? James took a breath. I don't know. I love you, Linda, I do, but I'm terrified that if I let myself love you the way I want to, that I'll lose you, like I lost Anna, and I can't survive that agony. Linda stepped closer, hands on his chest. James, you can't live your life afraid of loss, because then you're not living, you're just waiting to lose. I know, and I'm terrified too, terrified that you'll wake up one day and realize that I'm not Anna, that I'm broken and difficult and not worth it. James put his hands on her face. You are worth it. You are worth every single, terrifying, beautiful moment. Linda's breath hitched. James, yeah. Kiss me. He did, slow, gentle, like they had all the time in the world. When they pulled back, Linda was crying, smiling. I love you too. They stood, foreheads touching, breathing. What do we do now? I don't know. James laughed. I haven't thought Past this moment, Linda smiled. Well, we should probably go back out there before Sophie comes looking. Yeah, they walked back, hand in hand. Into the living room, everyone looked up. Patricia grinned. David clapped. Sophie squealed. Are you daddy's girlfriend now? Linda looked at James. James looked at Linda. Yeah, baby. I think she is. Sophie jumped up and down. This mean I get 2 moms? Linda knelt down again. If you want, you can call me whatever you want, Mama Linda, or Miss Linda, or just Linda. Sophie thought very seriously. Can I call you Mama L and call my other mom? In heaven, Mama. Linda's throat closed. She nodded. That sounds perfect. Sophie hugged her. James knelt down, wrapped his arms around both of them. Patricia took a picture. 6 months later, Brooklyn wedding. Emma Hartford, David's daughter, married the love of her life in a small reception hall. 80 guests, flowers everywhere. Linda, James, Sophie sat in the front row. Linda wore a navy dress, custom tailored to fit her, sitting, standing. She'd practiced for weeks, walking down the aisle as mother of the bride, technically, aunt of the bride. But David asked, and Linda said yes, so she walked. James on one side, Kane on the other. 15 feet to the front row sat Sophie beside her, in a pink dress. Gidgeting, the ceremony was beautiful, short. Emma cried, David cried, Linda held it together until the reception, until David danced with Emma, father-daughter dance. And Linda watched her brother, her family, the family she'd shut out for 4 years. Now here, Wool. That's when James leaned over. You okay? Linda nodded, wiped her eyes. I want to dance. James looked at her. Linda, one song, with you, holding me up. I don't care how it looks. I want to dance. James smiled, nodded. Let's dance. He stood, helped her up, took her cane, gave it to Patricia. Sophie's eyes went wide. Daddy, Mama L, you're dancing? Yeah, baby, we're dancing. Sophie clapped her hands, ran to the edge of the dance floor to watch James put his arms around Linda. She put hers around his neck. He held most of her weight, her legs shaking, but holding. They swayed 3.5 minutes to a song Linda didn't even hear, because all she heard was her own heartbeat and James's breathing and the sound of Sophie lowing. When the song ended, Linda pulled back, looked up at James. James, yeah, I danced. You danced with you? Yeah, you did. James reached into his pocket, pulled out a small box. Linda's breath stopped. James dropped to one knee. The entire reception went silent. Linda Hartford, you are the strongest, bravest, most stubborn person I have ever met. You taught me that love isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up, broken, and letting someone see you. You let me see you. And I want to spend the rest of my life seeing you. Will you marry me? Linda's hands covered her mouth, tears streaming. Yes. James opened the box. Sybil diamond ring, slid it on her finger, stood, kissed her. The room erupted, applause, cheers. Sophie ran onto the dance floor, threw her arms around both of them. I have 2 moms now, for real. Linda laughed, crying. Held Sophie, held James. Yeah, baby, for real. 6 months after that spring, James, Linda, Sophie sat by the koi tank in the lobby of the building on Park Avenue. Sophie, now 7.5, told Gerald the orange fish about her day at school. Linda sat in the wheelchair, not because she needed it all the time, but because some days were harder than others, and that was okay. James sat beside her, reading the paper. Linda held a cup of tea, no straw, her left hand steady. Sophie finished her story, looked up. Mama L, yes, sweetheart. Can I ask you something? Of course. Sophie bit her lip, thinking. What is it, baby? Do you miss running? Linda paused, set down her tea, looked at Sophie. Sometimes. Yeah, I do. Does it make you sad? Linda thought about it. It used to make me very sad, but now not as much. Why? Because I realized that running wasn't the point. The point was getting to where I wanted to go, and then I can still get there. It just looks different now. Sophie nodded, serious, like when I wanted to reach the cookies on the high shelf, and Daddy said I couldn't climb, so I used a stool. Linda smiled. Exactly like that. Sophie grinned, turned back to Gerald. James set down the paper, looked at Linda. You're good at this, At what? Being a mom. Linda's eyes filled. She reached over, took his hand. I'm learning. You're doing great, James. Yeah. I'm happy. James squeezed her hand. Yeah, me too. They sat in the lobby, watching Sophie talk to a fish, and Anne for the first time. In either of their lives, they weren't waiting for the other shoe to drop, weren't bracing for loss, weren't disappearing. They were just there, present, wall, enough. In the end, that's the whole story, not the billions, not the accident, not the wheelchair, or the parallel bars or the boardroom. The whole story is this: a woman who pushed the world away, a man who refused to leave, a child who knew before any of the adults did that the only thing a hurting person Eva really needs is someone. Anyone to walk into the room and not walk back out. That is what saved Linda Hartford. That is what saved James Morrison. That is what they gave each other, and what they gave Sophie, and what Sophie, without ever knowing it, had given them first. They stayed, and in staying, built a family from the pieces they thought were too broken to ever fit together again. But they did fit, beautifully, imperfectly, completely, in a lobby on Park Avenue on a Wednesday afternoon in March. 3 people who had, in their own way, been disappearing, found in each other the one thing that cannot be bought or earned or commanded into existence, someone who stayed. And that, in the end, is the whole story. Not the walking, not the dancing, not the ring, the staying. They stayed.